everyone, so sorry it's been a while since my last video. The only excuse I can really give is that it's been extremely hot. And because I live on a busy street, I have to have my window closed to try and minimize the sound. I know you can still hear some cars going past. And I can't have my fan on because that makes too much noise. So sitting in a room that's all shut up when it's like 90, 100 degrees outside is pretty brutal. So like I'm already sweating. It's not even that hot today. Normally for my Game of Thrones react, I had like this fan that I would do sometimes and then just edit out those parts. Anyway, so yeah, that's why I haven't really been around. I'm back after my last Game of Thrones react, and today I have a movie review for you. Which you can tell by the title, but whatever. So a little background about me. I know I've mentioned it once before. I am a big hockey fan. This is a fairly new thing for me. I only became a hockey fan 2.5 years ago, something like that. My journey to hockey is like weird and embarrassing. I like to read, and one of my favorite genres that I like to read because they're just so easy and you can go through them so fast without thinking is romance novels. Oh, it's getting even hotter in here now. Is romance novels. So somehow I stumbled upon hockey romance novels. Here's some that I own, and yes, it's very embarrassing, oh my god. And from there I started branching out and learning about hockey because I wanted to know how the game is played and everything, so I started getting books about hockey and about the people who play hockey and like the history of hockey. I wanted to start playing hockey, so I went ice skating and I was like, oh, this is fun. I'm not very good at it, but it's fun. I'm gonna keep doing it. So I ended up buying my own skates. I would go about twice a week to the local hockey rinks. Luckily I live in an area where there's a bunch of hockey rinks, even though it's Southern California. I broke my wrist at one point while skating, because of course I did. And then after my wrist all healed up, I got into a learn to play hockey class through the rinks at Anaheim. So thank you, Anaheim Ducks, for that. So I did the learn to play, and then since then I've played 3 different seasons in the rookie league through the rinks. So very fun. I'm not playing right now because unfortunately hockey is very expensive and I do not make much money. So I'm hoping I can either jump in halfway through this season or join next season if I've saved enough, because I really miss it. And also I don't exercise ever, so like having the hockey game once a week was really a good change for me because it meant I was active, and now I just sleep all the time. So all of this is just set up for my movie review. So there's a hockey called Goon. It's available on Netflix. It stars Seann William Scott. I think it's from like 2011, 2012. And at the height of my hockey mania, when I was first really getting into it, I discovered Goon, and I love that movie. It doesn't seem like something I would super love because it's a comedy with lots of swearing and crude humor, and there's violence, and I don't know, it just doesn't seem like it would be my thing, but it is really good. It's about Doug Glatt, who is not a hockey player, but he's a bar bouncer. He's really good at beating people up, and he gets noticed by a hockey team for his beating people up skills, and a minor league team, and they end up hiring him to be on their hockey team to be their enforcer, or their goon. Seann William Scott plays Doug, and he's very stupid, but like very sweet. Like he knows that he's not the smartest or quickest person, but he has a lot of heart, and like he says things that are just so endearing that you just want to be like, aw, you just want to like pat him on the head. And I really like the first movie, Goon. I've watched it on Netflix many times. It's kind of a go-to movie whenever I don't know really what I want to watch. It's something where I'm like, I'll just put Goon on in the background and I'll laugh at some of the jokes, and it's just a very endearing movie with really good characters and really good character arcs, some really funny lines and like random humor, and that type of humor where you really have to listen to what's being said because you miss things the first time. So that's Goon, but this is not a review of Goon. This is a review of Goon 2, The Last of the Enforcers, which just came out this year. So this movie, I think it came out in Canada like in March because, you know, hockey, Canada, makes sense. But it didn't come to the US until September 1st. They got it in Canada in the theaters, and we get it on video on demand because America doesn't like hockey. Come on, America! Watch hockey. Hockey's awesome. That means I finally got to see Goon 2, Last of the Enforcers, and it was okay. I didn't hate it, but it was a bit disappointing after Goon. Like, it's something that I will probably watch again to see if it changes my opinion at all, because normally I do like movies better the second time, but I think in the future, if I think like, what should I watch? I'm not gonna think, ooh, Goon 2. I'm just gonna think, man, I should watch Goon again. And the word goon has lost all meaning, by the way. Oh my god, I've said it way too much. Anyway, all the characters are back, which is good and bad. So, obviously you're gonna have Doug, he's our main character, back, and you're gonna have the girl he ends up with in the first movie, Eva, she's gonna be back. You're gonna want the main people from the team back, so like Xavier Laflamme, who is kind of a frenemy to friend in the first movie, but not everyone needed to be back. It was kind of weird that the team was basically the exact same people, and this movie takes place probably, 5 years later or something. It's just weird because everyone's older. Some of these people, it's like, would they still be playing minor hockey? Would they really not? No one on this team has been traded, or like, it's just weird. Not all of the comedy lands. There's some jokes that just feel like they're there, like, haha, look how funny we are, and it doesn't really fit in. Like, the worst one I can think of is there's a boner joke in at a certain part that like doesn't connect with anything, and as a whole it's from Jay Baruchel. He's the guy who wrote the movie. He's the How to Train Your Dragon voice of Hiccup. So he wrote this movie, and he also directed it, and he wrote the first movie as well. His character is, even in the first movie, he's very, very over the top, like uncomfortably so. Like, he's one of those characters that's super annoying to me, but I know that there's people, I've met people like that in real life, so it's believable that this person exists. It's just I would rather not have any contact with them or have to deal with them. But it's fine in the movie, and he says some really funny things in the first one. But here, he's not in it much, and his character is just kind of uncomfortable. There's not as much heart in the first movie. There's not as much hockey as in the first movie. In the beginning of this movie, Doug gets injured and has to quit hockey. And then he works his way back to hockey. So there's really not that much hockey action. There's lots of hockey fighting, which is what I'm not here for. I mean, I know he's an enforcer, so of course there's going to be some fighting, but like the fight at the very beginning is very brutal. Like, I was kind of like, okay, there's a lot of blood, and I was getting angry because I'm like, a ref wouldn't let it get this far. And I know the last fight in the first movie is like super brutal, and they would never let it get that far either, but at least that was like a fulfilling fight for the character arcs. This one is just at the beginning of the movie, and it's just there, it seems, for shock value, so I wasn't super there for it. And then there's I do like that there's later on when he finds the Ross the Boss, Ray, from the first movie at like this hockey tournament that's everything but the hockey. It's basically just for old enforcers to beat each other up. Like, on one hand, it's hilarious that that's what it is. It's everything but the hockey. But on the other hand, it's like, I don't think that would really exist. It's weird. So because all the same characters are back from the first movie, they don't really know what to do with all of the characters. So there's not, I felt like in the first movie they're more well-rounded, more three-dimensional characters, like you kind of got a feeling for everyone. Here, not everyone is used to do stuff. They're just there to be there. I don't know. They're very two-dimensional. They're just there because it's like, oh, they were in the first movie. Reference, and it doesn't really mean much if you don't use it to say something, or for an actual point of comedy, or for some actual, like, a joke continuity or something like that. First movie doesn't really have an antagonist. There's like there's situational things, and you're definitely rooting for someone, and there's definitely resolution and character arcs and story and a climax and all of that stuff, but there's no bad guy. So this movie, they felt they needed to get a bad guy. So the team owner and his son, who was on a different team, and then he beat the shit out of Doug, and then gets moved to the Highlanders. They're the bad guys, and I don't really care anything about the dad. It was just like generic evil businessman, and the kid is just like generic evil jock. But I liked the actor. Like, he was kind of charmingly dumb, but also viciously mean. But, like, he also, it seemed like he wanted approval from his dad, but he didn't quite know how to, I just kind of, I liked him. I liked the actor. I don't know. I probably was not supposed to like him at all. Overall, the movie was fine. It was just fine. Like, obviously, I'm not too enthusiastic about it. I also, like, it's one of those things where I want to talk about it in, like, super, super fine detail, so I'm just basically rambling at this point, as always, so, and it's really hot in here, so I'm going to cut myself off right now, and just say I highly recommend watching Goon on Netflix, and if you really like it, then you might like Goon 2, Last of the Enforcers. You probably won't like it as much. That's now on video on demand. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let me know if you are a fan of Goon, or a hockey fan, or whatever. Let me know down below. If you saw Goon 2, Last of the Enforcers, tell me what you thought of it. If you kind of agree, disagree, if you want to talk more, let me know. So leave me a comment down below. Make sure to give me a like. I will put a link to my last video over here. It's a Game of Thrones react. I'll put a link to my channel over here. You can also find links in the description to my Twitter and my Instagram, so you can follow me there. And I think that's it. So I will make another video soon, I promise, and see you guys later. Bye!